You are watching an MLGA Network live broadcast. Welcome to Make Liberty Great Again, the best damn Liberty podcast that you've never heard of. I'll be your guide as we peer into the ridiculous reality that is our society and our government. Let's get to it. Welcome to Make Liberty Great Again. I'm your host, Cam Harless, and with me, and I'm going to say it for the first time ever, as always, is Miss Jessica Green, and she is looking cool right now. I mean, has anyone ever looked cooler? Watch out, Morpheus. She's coming for you. She's about to throw out some red pills.
All right. That's enough of that.
So, today, I have probably the most loved Liberty couple on Twitter coming on my show. They're both half Asian people, which is a very interesting and beautiful mix of humanity. You know them. They do a show called What's HAPAning. And if you don't know them, these are their names. It's Shaine and Nico. How are you guys doing?
Hey,
Hello.
How you doing?
How do you like how much work I put into my production? Because I try to make this thing look good.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that was
We need
nice.
something like that.
No,
So first off, congratulations, because you guys have had a bit of a Twitter, well known on Twitter, trying to create a baby within Nico's body, and it's not been the easiest thing. And I see a picture with a lot of heroin needles on it the other day, and I'm like, hey, congratulations, you're pregnant. So welcome to fatherhood and motherhood.
Thank
yeah. We just stumbled into it, but here we are.
you. Yeah, we stumbled into it.
Right.
By having like three surgeries,
Yep.
me 2 surgeries.
Yep. Good times.
It's a long journey.
Yeah.
I stumbled into it pretty easily 5 times, and so I'm like, I don't know how it is for people who have a harder time, but I feel for you, because I know with the 5 little demons that I own that I would miss them so much if I didn't have them. So congratulations.
Yeah, I'm sure it was very hard for you.
Very, very hard, just 15 seconds at a time. If I did the math, that's what, 30, that's a minute and 15 seconds of my life. 5
Wow.
kids.
Damn.
I know.
Wow.
It's so
I
funny.
did almost no work.
I mean, compared to you, right?
Yeah, I know.
Just for one.
Yeah.
It's the opposite for me though. I can't imagine. Like, it's so hard for me to imagine now that people just have sex and then they have a baby.
Yeah, I
Like,
know. That's foreign to us.
it's amazing.
And me, I'm trying to stop it at this point. I'm just like, okay. I've had enough. I have too many cute children around. It's time to not do that anymore, because
to
it's
pack it in.
expensive.
Yeah.
Well, they're
So-
cute, so you don't leave them in the woods. That's
That's true.
evolutionarily why they're cute. Just throwing it out there.
So when I was, I want to say 18 or 19, I was working at Books A Million, and the cutest little girl that I had seen up to that point was in the store, and she was just screaming and wailing, and her mom was not doing much about it. But I looked at my manager and I said, you know what? God makes them cute so we don't kill them. And he goes, he looks at me and he goes, I don't believe in God. I was like, okay, you're a fun
wow.
person.
Yeah.
All right. Now what do I say?
Well, it then went into a whole debate that I don't think anyone wants me to recap, but I convinced him that he believed the universe was God, to put it lightly. So
Seems like a one-upper. He's like, yeah, well, I don't believe in God. You're like, oh, all right. You
I'm
win.
like, yeah, well, this is why no one likes atheists. Hello, atheists. You're still welcome to listen. I'm
It's
here
like,
for
please
you.
don't leave.
Yeah. You just alienated like most of your audience, or even half your audience. I don't know, whatever.
If I haven't alienated them up to this point with my random
Well, that's
conversation
good
about,
point,
The hat wearing
God
set.
and
yeah.
yeah,
Good point.
I don't think they're going anywhere.
Yeah, good point.
So, right now in history, we live in a weird inflection point, and I find it curious to see what people think is going to happen, because I think a fair amount of people in the Libertyverse were like, oh yeah, on January 6th, something weird is going to happen. And they also thought something weird is going to happen January 20th. Were you prepared for the insurrectionists and the revolution that toppled the Capitol last Wednesday?
Well, before I get into that, I just wanted to kind of say a few words about all of that.
Okay.
It's really important. So I just want to let everyone know that I am a member of Mensa and I have a skyrocketing IQ. I have degrees in engineering and mathematics. I'm also a writer for the natural sciences, technical documents, nonfiction, religion, music, and software. I'm probably the smartest person that you'll ever have on your show, just to let you know.
Oh.
So,
I can clearly see that you are a man of culture, and
I try, yeah.
Yeah. You're a true heavyweight amongst us now.
I mean, you don't even know who you're messing with.
I hear you have over 300 confirmed kills and are well versed in guerrilla combat.
Well, we try not to talk about that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you had been at the Capitol on Wednesday, it would have been a totally different story right now.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't have just been, people taking selfies and everything like that. It would have been a true revolution. The whole building would probably have been down by now.
Yeah.
It's too bad you weren't
And
there.
I'm not talking about metaphorically. I mean literally down. So
I told my husband if they burn the Capitol down today, he gets the special sex. He goes, what does that mean? And I was like, I don't know. We'll find out if the Capitol burns down.
well, could you imagine if they actually did burn the whole building down? Like, then what's all of Congress going to do? They go, well, now what are we going to? I guess we're going to have to do all this stuff outside or something. Like, what are
That would
they
be
going to do?
so funny, them holding like all their meetings outside in the grass with a bunch of,
Or it's raining outside and have to put some
a
kind of
plastic
canopy.
tent.
Yeah.
Grab your bento box. We're going outside for this.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That would be great.
like overall, I was not prepared for that to happen. I knew something weird was going to happen because for weeks they were saying like something's going to happen on January 6th.
Yeah.
And then when it was actually happening, I'm like, well, this is kind of confusing for me because on one hand, I'm like, this is kind of good because like they're mad at the right people.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's like, this is going to end up going badly in the end. Like they don't have any lists of demands or anything, that they're trying to accomplish.
It was just a fun day, January 6th, a day that's going to live in infamy. Well, January 6th, 2021, I should say.
Yeah.
So
That's what I thought was so crazy about it I mean, they are overhyping the heck out of this thing because nothing happened. We actually had last week, we had Monica Perez scheduled to be on the show, and then that happened that day. And so we kind of talked about it a little bit, but I've been thinking about it over the last week, and I don't think it was like agents provocateur. I don't think it was like a psyop in so far as like people on the ground being there and being paid by Soros or whatever.
yeah.
But I do think that they knew that there were going to be some very riled up people there that day. Some people who were very unhappy, and they were like, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to open the doors and let them go wild. And it was surprisingly tame. Like did you see the video of them walking through the Capitol and they had those velvet ropes and they just walked through the ropes. They didn't push them over and go elsewhere. They just
Cool.
right.
Yeah, it was like they were taking a field trip or something.
Yeah. Like they're in elementary school or something. Okay, you guys stay between the ropes, kids.
It looked exactly like a bunch of children went on a field trip, but they didn't have a chaperone. Because I feel like that's exactly what would happen if you put, 27, 8th grade boys in that same place. and didn't give them anything to do. Like, didn't tell them not to do anything. So
There was a box of granola bars that they had brought with them on the table. I noticed that they had brought snacks with them. So they kind of wound up the Bundy gang. Do you guys remember when they took over the wildlife center and they hadn't brought snacks with them and they were entreating people to please send us snacks? So I was. Oh, so yeah. Maybe you guys don't remember that, but there was a cattle rancher and some fellow farmers who had taken over a wildlife refuge center, and they had done it with guns. Like, they took it over because there was a land rights dispute, and they hadn't brought snacks with them. They didn't bring anything to eat, and so they were like asking people on Twitter, "Hey, can you like send us food?" And people made a bunch of memes about it. But the point was that I actually saw that these guys had a box of granola bars with them, and I was like, learning lessons. So
Thinking ahead.
yeah. Thinking ahead, you brought snacks. So sorry to derail.
Am I thinking of a different thing? But is that like the whole BLM dispute?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the Bureau of Land Management. Mhm.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Eamon Bundy and I can't remember the other fellow's name, but they shot it. They shot a man. They killed a man over that.
Finicum Lavoy?
Yeah. I didn't
Something
remember
like
his
that.
name. Yeah.
I just love that they learned from both BLMs before breaking into the Capitol.
Yeah. All right. So what does the BLM say? I mean, both Black Lives Matter and the Bureau of Land Management. Oh, okay. Let's see what they have to say. Yeah.
That was one of my first, one of my favorite trolls when Black Lives Matter first came out, because people would be on Twitter or Facebook saying, "What is BLM? What does that stand for?" And I'd be like, "Oh, it's the Bureau of Land Management."
Right.
And then these people would be like, "What are they mad about?"
They're managing too much land. We can't manage all this land. It's too much.
Cattle ranchers. They're really pissed off at cattle ranchers, actually.
Urban cattle ranchers are going off.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've loved is, I say loved ironically. I don't love, like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but that day it went from, oh, they're protesters, oh, they're rioters, oh, they're insurrectionists, oh, they're terrorists, in like hours. They upgraded these people so quick. And one of the fun things that I saw today, I don't know if you saw this video, I'm actually going to pull it up, but there was some random woman, and she had, I think it was, Chuck Schumer was doing some sort of speaking arrangement out on the road, it looks like, and she just went off on him. And I feel like this may be Jessica's spirit animal. Have you seen this video yet?
No.
She's my sister, and I love her.
Watch this.
I am glad I didn't think that the Trumpsters had it in it. I didn't think the conservatives did. But you know what? You racist socialists can dish it out, but you can't take it. And remember this: Adolf Hitler was a socialist, and that's exactly who you are. You're nothing but a coward. Seeing you hide underneath the shit. I actually got sexually excited over it. That's how much I loathe it. That's how much I'm glad that they did. And like Nancy Pelosi said, people do what they do. After all, she doesn't care about monuments, and neither do I. And where in the First Amendment does it say that you approach and politely, as long as there's outrage and unrest in our hearts, there's going to be unrest in these streets.
Yeah.
Like when her glasses like fly off of her face and she's trying real hard. Like, it would have been better if she just like took her mask off and started like, start breathing on Chuck Schumer.
It would have been nice because I couldn't understand her with that mask on.
I know, right?
She was trying so hard to be socially compliant.
Yeah.
I didn't notice until watching it just then that those weren't regular sunglasses. Those were those ones that they give you when you go to the eye doctor and you're dilated. Like, there were the roll glasses, and that's what flew off of her face.
Oh.
But I don't think.
Yeah. So I had an eye appointment, and now I have another appointment with Chuck Schumer, but it's unannounced. He don't know it yet.
New Yorkers are busy people. They have to pack a lot into the day.
Yeah, and Chuck Schumer is just standing there, just like, oh my god. Because I mean, like part of me is like looking at the like, yeah, I hope people yell at politicians more like that. They deserve to get yelled at like that. Like, you know, he's just standing like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. Wait for this bitch to stop talking.
I swear to God, he was blocking a bus stop, and she walked up there like, "What the fuck are you doing in the way of the bus?" And she just went off. That is what I think happened.
I think maybe my favorite part, like I don't know if I've ever gelled so much with a statement as her telling Chuck Schumer that she saw him hiding under the tables and it made her sexually excited.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
What?
Like, damn, what kind of kinks do you have, lady?
I'll be honest though. I mean, I understand that seeing Chuck Schumer hiding under a table is pretty tight. I like that.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows about
Is that too much?
I'm sure he knows about tight spaces.
The unfortunate thing is that they'll just use this to victimize themselves instead of learning that the people are genuinely angry with them. And I feel that the lesson that they should be taking from this will go straight over their heads. They'll just be like, oh, we have to put up bigger walls around ourselves to protect ourselves from the plebs. So
yeah, because you were talking about how they were framing this as before, you know, they're framing it like this, and then they're going to frame it like this, and now they're domestic terrorists or whatever. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, so if they're going to, you know, they're also calling it a coup. Like a coup. Like,
that was a really sad coup.
Like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, so correct me, but I thought coups had to deal with, like, you know, government officials planning out, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to go into this other, you know, in this country, we're going to destroy their government, and we're going to make, you know, democracy for everyone, you know, whatever like that. But I guess instead their cue was just they're going to go to the building and, you know, throw papers around and stuff, and then tell, you know, Nancy Pelosi or write some stuff on her file or file papers.
Steal her laptop.
Yeah, steal her laptop. You know, I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. So
well, it was the best day.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is how they were directly in Nancy Pelosi's office and no one thought, you know what I could do right now? I could pee or poop in here. Like, I probably would have. And is that crazy?
Yes. That's insanity.
Could you imagine though? What's her name? Nancy Pelosi coming back into her office and being like, they peed in the corner. Someone peed in my corner.
Took a BM in the shredder. Why would they do that? No, that's insanity. Don't give people ideas.
It's because they hate you, Nancy. They don't like you. Get the fuck out of Congress now. You're too old.
I mean, I feel like the wheel of time will take care of the current government pretty shortly. They're all really old. So that's not even like, someone was like, what if somebody assassinates the president? I'm like, Father Time will assassinate the president.
I know, right? It's just like, wow.
Did you guys happen to see the video from The View where Meghan McCain talked about it?
Yeah.
Okay, first off, that is a deplorable woman because she has a deplorable father, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But someone mixed this together in the perfect way. So if you haven't, have you seen this yet, Jessica?
No, I don't. Oh. I try to avoid these women if at all possible.
Well, this is perfect though.
Oh yeah.
You've seen this?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
That don't sound extreme. These are domestic terrorists with treated the same way we treat Al Qaeda.
It's her father famously from Al Qaeda. The photograph heads of them in Syria 5 years ago. Father is now in hell.
Oh yeah, okay, I did see that.
Yeah.
Jessica looks worried.
No, I can't. I don't know if it was my headphone or not. I didn't catch it. What did he say?
She said that they should be. She's not against these people being thrown in Gitmo. That they're domestic terrorists and they should be treated the same way as Al Qaeda. And then
in Gitmo,
yeah, and then Alex Jones said her father 5 years ago gave money to directly to Al Qaeda and guns, and he is now in hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it was classic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And it's true. It's funny because it's true. So it's educational
Sad, but
humor.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it? Because also, have you seen these tweets and headlines about how Liz Cheney is now the conscience of the conservatives?
Well, I saw something about Liz Cheney where I guess some Republicans are trying to push her out now or something like that. And it's just like,
but the Democrats are just loving her right now.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Yeah, sure.
You know, she voted. Oh, yeah. Trump was impeached a second time today. I don't know how I haven't said that yet.
Did they get that through?
House
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
The House.
They represent you, Jessica. They represent you, and they're going to impeach Trump. So congratulations.
Took them 6 days to get impeachment 2 through. Wow. I am astonished at that. Like, the optics of that are really bad for them.
Yeah, it took them that long for all this impeachment stuff, but then all like the stimulus stuff, like, I don't know, we'll throw it up in the air. Maybe we'll do it after recess, something like that. I don't know. But then we ended up with $600. Thanks, government. Appreciate it.
What I'm looking forward to is the war between the establishment Democrats and the progressives that they've courted and are now betraying hand over fist. So I'm really looking forward to that coming back to bite them in the ass, which it definitely will.
Yeah.
Because like AOC, she's no longer the darling of the progressives. Like they're very much turning on those people. And I think we're, our role in this is maybe on the side telling disaffected conservatives that they don't have to be, blue-pilled anymore. They can understand that there are ways to do things without the state. However, within the annals of government, now it's up to the progressives. This is just my opinion. It's up to the progressives to cut the legs out from under these people. And they do have some standing to do it because they've been courted. They are the large demographic that's been courted to put these people into power. And they're not happy already. And the guy hasn't even taken office yet. So,
well, another thing about that too is that, like, speaking with AOC, when they're trying to, elect who's going to be the speaker or something like that, and she was tweeting or talking about, Nancy Pelosi's this and Nancy Pelosi's that, and then she ends up voting for her anyway. Yeah. So you're kind of like, well, so where are you? Like, at least you could have said, okay, if you didn't want to vote for her, obviously you're not going to vote for McConnell, so you could have been like, present, I'm not voting. Like, I'm here, but I ain't voting, so fuck all y'all. I'm gonna say present, and then that's it. That's my vote, or vote, quote unquote.
She really go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that AOC is I think she's a created person. I think she is what the Democrats. I don't think she is as, what's the word, authentic as people want to make her out to be. I think that she is a foil to the Republicans and the people on the ground, because she's not going to get anything done. She has no power. She just wags her lips, and the conservatives get mad at her. And all the while, all of the actual people who can do stuff are in the back doing whatever they want to, while people are bitching about the Green New Deal that's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that she's an actual. I mean, she's human, but I don't think she's an actual person. I think that she serves a very specific role.
Are you calling her a lizard person?
She may be. She may well be. I think she's actually just a mannequin.
Okay, so like what you mean, I guess, if just to clarify, not to speak for you, is that at some point she was courted for this role. Yes. She did get an economics degree from a rather prestigious university, if I understand. It wasn't a community college. So she's a waitress, right? But she does have this
for her.
Right. So I could see it. I think that has legs if you think about it.
I think maybe down the road she may have something, but right now her job is to deflect attention from the bad guys. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's where my brain is with AOC.
Well, yeah, because they focus most of their attention to her, and then meanwhile, while they're all yelling at her, all the bipartisanship is happening behind the scenes. Like, oh, we're gonna get this done. We're gonna get, we're gonna try and get some more wars started. All right, now that Trump guy is gone,
Yeah. But I wonder, like, does she know that that's her role? That's what I would know, or that's what I'd want to know. Does she know that that's her role, or is she just being used as kind of like a pawn to do that?
She might not be as effective if she knows. She might need to think that she's on her way up, in order to do. See, but there's this element of like she really sold everybody on this idea that she would be a one-term congresswoman. Is she a congress? That's what she is, right? If she would force these votes, if she would get all these things done. She says, I'm not one of these powered people. I'm gonna forward your interests. And at the moment where she could have done that, where she really had just that little bit of leverage that she could have used, she went belly up on them. And so I think that lends credence to the idea that, like she was prepared for this and she's doing what she's supposed to do. And like, I don't know, like, so created person sounds very, you can interpret that in many ways. Like we created her in a bowl with some, ingredients, but like maybe someone approaches you, you're someone who's ambitious and they approach you and say, hey, you want to be a senator? You want to be a congresswoman? You want to be president someday? And then you do the things that they tell you to do so you can get ahead. I don't put it past campaigning and political parties to do things like that. To say, okay, you're going to work in this bar for a year so we can say that you're a waitress from the Bronx. And then but where did she go? Hold on, I was looking for where she went. So her education is Boston University College of Arts and Sciences and Yorktown High School. Okay, so I don't know anything about that. But
well, she's not even from the Bronx as far as what
community college,
she's from. Yeah,
right.
Like she talks about, like she almost talks like she's J-Lo, like she's, Jenny from the block. But if you actually look into her past, she was from a rather affluent part of town. Like, I don't think that there's, I think that people, I don't know if she's being used or she is active in it, but I do not, when I say created person, I mean they created her backstory. They set her up to fulfill a specific role. So and that's just where I fall at this point.
I mean, she's got a lot of Twitter followers. So in terms of a social media presence, she has, yeah.
I was just gonna say she's really big on Instagram too, because she does all those Instagram lives and stuff.
Yeah. Oh man, you see what she said on Instagram? Oh man, we gotta talk about that for 3 hours.
And she cuts up sweet potatoes the wrong way, and it drives me crazy. Like you're gonna cut yourself. And millions of young people are looking at you right now, cutting sweet potatoes the wrong way.
She didn't know what a garbage disposal was. That was
what is this garbage disposal, guys? What is this? Like, there's like a switch or something. I don't know what this is. Can you help me?
But that's also a look how relatable I am.
Yeah.
I have a garbage disposal too.
It also inflames the boomer cons to talk about how big of an idiot she is, and how I don't think she's an idiot.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the boomer cards, they definitely fall for it almost every single time. Oh man, AOC, she's an idiot. She's stupid.
It's always her or Greta Thunberg. Like those two people really piss them off for some reason.
Yeah.
You're really looking at like very,
persons.
very surface level.
Yeah, I think Greta Thunberg is also one of those that's been chosen to be in that role. I don't buy the authenticity behind that either.
How dare you?
Well, that one's really easy to see because, like, what are the chances that kid
wasn't there some
famous?
documentary that just came out recently about her or something like that? I think it was like called Greta or something like that.
I didn't see it. Well, we didn't see it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is I heard an NPR segment on NPR talking about her, and the whole time, this woman decided that she was going to pronounce Greta Thunberg the right way, as if she was where Greta Thunberg is from. And so the whole time she was going, Greta Thunberg, Greta Thunberg. And I was like,
man, NPR, they get really like cocky. Oh, I'm so smart. I know what I'm talking about.
Have you seen the way they parody NPR on Parks and Rec? It's genius. They there's a couple of episodes where the main character does like a radio show, and it's a parody of NPR, and they're brilliant with the whisper talking and playing weird esoteric music nobody's ever heard of and stuff. And yeah, Parks and Rec is a great show anyway.
It's like that SNL sketch where they did the sweaty balls or something like that.
Yep.
It's kind of like that.
Yep. And what was the other show? Portlandia. Like it reminds me of the bookstore ladies from Portlandia.
Yeah, that is like that too. Yeah, it took me a second to remember that sweaty ball sketch. That's from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's a hilarious.
Well, Alec Baldwin before he became Trump.
I don't know if you guys had this experience, but when I very first started podcasting, I did some stuff that was more scripted, and it took me a couple of episodes to break the NPR voice. Like when you're in your head about how you sound, and you're like,
yeah.
Welcome to Make Liberty Great Again. My name is Cam Harless. We'll be talking today about not that bad.
They all sound like
but there was
I could see that with you because you have that voice.
I'll take it as a
like
compliment.
good for radio voice. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. By the way, Shaine, I just want to congratulate you on being such a good man that you let your woman talk.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, you and I are very progressive. I have a woman on my show almost every week, so I think.
But
we
I
should
have to
pat
wait
ourselves
for
on
my
the back.
husband to go to sleep, and then I sneak out to do it. He would never allow this.
You're like taking to the oven in the kitchen, right?
Yeah. He thinks I'm in there doing dishes. No idea how many dishes there are, so I use it as a cover.
Cole Chestnut says that AOC was boosted by the Justice Democrats, which is affiliated with the Young Turks. They crafted her image and backstory before putting her on public display. At least some of it is demonstrably false. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I've seen some of that too, Cole, and it's weird that people don't see, in my opinion, that people don't see that she's a foil, that she's meant to be there to take some of the anger away from like Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer. I mean, they get a lot of anger anyway, but have you ever seen someone foam at the mouth quite like they foamed at the mouth at AOC?
Yeah, that woman said she got sexual. Sorry, go ahead, Nico.
I was going to say the only example I could think of is Donald Trump on the other side. Yeah.
Well, what's funny about AOC is she actually, because Donald Trump tweeted his way to the presidency, and then AOC, they used Donald Trump's blueprint in order to get her where she is. So, I mean, there is a fair amount of connection there, I think, in how they went after their roles in the government, which should burn down.
Do you just mean the cult of personality way, or that
utilizing populism and sound bites, Twitter and social media?
Right.
Like they know how to piss off the right people in order to gain support.
Well, didn't she win a race that was pretty much uncontested?
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, of course you're going to win. There's no one going against you. You're the only person they can vote for, or at least just about. So as far as I know, it was pretty much uncontested. So her way was just, when I go in, now I'm a congressperson. There you go. Congresswoman, whatever the term is. I don't know.
Well, what was funny is I was watching the impeachment deal today on C-SPAN, and I always find it funny when they say gentlemen and gentlewomen instead of, I don't know, ladies.
Yeah.
Like, what's so bad about ladies?
I've never heard anyone say gentleman.
Well, I don't know. It's just like, you can't. Why are you so worried about the language? Just do your job. I don't got to worry about all the, if we say ladies and gentlemen, maybe some of the people who are watching C-SPAN are going to get offended. So maybe we should get from ladies to.
Well, they passed a law now that says you can't use gendered language in Congress, so you have to say gentle thems.
Wait, are you for real, or are you making a joke?
No, they had some I don't know if you call it a law, but it was like a measure, a decree, or whatever kind of like a bullshit thing. resolution. That's what it's called. A resolution that they are using gendered language during congressional settings anymore, during official congressional settings. And one of the dudes actually ended the prayer with amen and a women. And that was a real thing that really happened. That wasn't The Onion. That wasn't Babylon Bee. This dude said amen and a women.
So that's where that came from. I was wondering why he did that. I'm like, what is wrong with this guy?
I don't know, but that prayer gave me womeningitis.
Yeah. So my solution for them, for the gentlemen and gentlewomen thing, is to say gentle thems, which I think is nice.
Gentle thems.
Gentle thems.
It's just bizarre to me because it's like, I know that everything that denotes someone being a woman is considered offensive for some reason. Like, that's really bizarre to me. But
terrible.
Like lady was it was like a title of respect. It was the Lord and his lady. Yeah. It wasn't like the Lord and his bitch and they got rid of the word bitch. Like, yeah. You know, and so it's weird to me that you go, oh well, you know, the Lord and the lady, that was all said with all due respect, and suddenly it's like, lady is bad, don't call them that, because you know, Joey Tribbiani would have called them ladies, and that's a problem.
Oh, could you imagine if they called all the men in Congress right now lords? All right, you lords and lady, everyone's like, lords, how dare you? Like, why would you say that?
The whole reason the founding fathers started shooting at cops in the first place was because we didn't want to call anybody Lord anymore.
They still wanted to wear the powdered wigs, though. So, you know, they kept the guard.
Yeah, they did. They truly did. The Federalists were wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Can I just say that some of the dumbest tweets I saw this week were when the person put up the picture of the guy walking through the Capitol with the Confederate flag, or just talking in general about rebellion. And they're like, this is un-American. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that flag, for one, and also rebellion, defiance, and sedition are as American as a toddler with type 2 diabetes. Like, this is thoroughly American. This is a donut hamburger. Like, this is, I don't know what you're talking about. How is that un-American?
I don't know. I guess they're always saying that because, well, it's rebellious against the state, and I don't like it. You know, and it's like, okay, well, obviously you're someone who, I'm sure, I don't know who it is, but I could probably guess, probably almost all of them are thinking, well, if it's rebellious towards the state, well, that's terrible, you know, but you know, what's going on in the Middle East? Oh, we could totally be rebellious on that. We got to do something over there, but people are going to do something over here. Oh, we can't have that. We're going to have all this military in there. We saw the pictures of all the military sleeping in the hallways and all that stuff. And it's just like, man.
Well, the weird part is, like, our country was built on overthrowing another state, right? So then, and rebellion and everything. So why wouldn't you think that?
Well, and also according to AOC, I mean, almost half of the people could have like died. All the Congress people could have died, you know? So
that's why they were wearing, like, you know, big things over their head and stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That was wonderful.
Oh, also, kind of, I don't know, maybe kind of going off topic, but also similar in a way. But did you see, I can't remember what her name is, but I'm sure she's going to be some big player in 2024 politics or something like that. But she said that she's going to bring articles of impeachment for Joe Biden on January 21st. Like, she legit said that on Newsmax, like, I am going to file articles of impeachment for Joe Biden. And I'm like, that is hilarious. Like, let's do this all over again. Everyone,
just impeach every president.
Yeah, everyone who thought this was going to be all over once Trump is gone. Nah, it's only the beginning. As Trump also said, this is only the beginning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that's what the boomer cons are freaking out about, because they're like, oh, they're impeaching Trump again. So you know what that means? That means that every president's going to be impeached that comes in. I'm like, okay. Do I have a problem with this? No, I want them all to be humiliated. And it's just going to get less humiliating as time progresses, though. Like,
it's sorry. The lady's name is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she is a Republican from Georgia.
Yeah. We have the dumbest of the politicians. Georgia, I'm very proud of that. I don't know if you guys remember Paul Brunn. He said that Democrats buried fossils to confuse Christians away from Jesus.
Yeah, because I'm sure they have all that time to do that. Yeah.
Also that guy who thought that islands could capsize. The guy also came from Georgia.
You know, what if there was like, too many people and they're all going on one side, and what if it like
wait,
capsized?
and this person was in. Oh, you know what? Never mind.
You can look it up. He literally says it with a straight face, not like, I'm pretending or I'm joking around. No, he was like, no, what if it like, like that?
How do these people get into power?
He's an elected official because we're dumb.
Well, because, okay, so like representative, there's a representative for you. They represent you, state of Georgia.
Yes.
But
Yes,
it's like,
they do.
They don't represent me. That guy saying that, I'm like, oh my God. Like a 10-year-old can hear that guy and go, this guy is stupid.
But I mean, is that not a representation of a great deal of the masses? We want there to be competent people in charge, and then we want to have democracy. But you can't have that both ways, because the people that represent the most amount of people are going to be just as dumb as most amount of people. So I don't know what the solution is, but I don't think that maybe democracy might not be it. That's all.
I think less people should vote. That's how I think it should happen. We should have more people vote. I mean, look what's going on now. I mean, we had Donald Trump as president, so I mean, something has to give, right?
Now we have Biden.
Yeah, I know. We have first it was an old white man. That was too racist. But then all the people voted that racist out, and they brought in an old white man. So it works out just great.
That's fine. Yeah.
Corn Pop approved of Joe Biden.
Corn Pops from Kellogg's. That's right. Or is it General Mills? I don't know, whichever.
It's a very convoluted, the world that we're moving into, you guys. So I'm glad that we can keep our humor about us. A lot of people are black-pilled right now, but I think that there's a lot to appreciate, which is that sort of the absurdity of the system is coming out. And there's a lot to point at and a lot to laugh at. We still have the ability to sort of do that. So I appreciate that. And the fact that they're putting the walls up around them means the peasants are gathering around them and trying to burn them down. So this is the cycle, that happens in every power structure. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the podcast Fall of Civilizations, but I would strongly encourage everyone to watch every single episode of Fall of Civilizations. And it's a history podcast. And it's really interesting how these great empires that have these really strong and complex trade systems and have been established for hundreds and hundreds of years, they collapse. They all collapse. And our system is no different. And so when you watch those episodes and you see what people go through in their throes of collapse, you can look around and be like, oh, we're definitely about to change systems. And, there's a lot of opportunity there. That's all I'm saying.
Not to mention the one of the huge white pills right now is that more people are talking about secession than I've ever heard in my entire life. Which, I mean, I'm only 32. It's not a long life. But at the same point, like, I was talking about this 5 years ago and people called me a racist. And I'm like, no, I just don't think we can live together. But now people are like, no, we should be separate. Is Biden really that bad?
Yeah, like those people that voted for Biden or whatever, and they think, oh, we're gonna go back to the way it was, and
it's gonna be normal.
It's gonna be pre 2016, and everything's gonna be hunky dory and everything like that. And I'm just like, well, I'm sure when Trump won and all those people were like, oh man, make America great again. This is going to be awesome. And those same people that are now ecstatic and all that, like they were feeling that pain back then. Yeah. So it's just a never ending cycle of, oh man, my guy didn't win. So now I feel like, this is a fascist society we're living in. This is a dictator that we're living under. And I mean, I guess Donald Trump's a dictator. I mean, as far as I know, has any journalist in America actually been like killed as in terms of like Donald Trump going, I want that guy right. I want Jim Acosta killed right now because he's talking crap about me. Did that ever happen? I mean, he maybe talked shit to him, but he didn't actually go, can you just kill him? I mean, come on, fuck this guy. He's talking shit to me. As far as I know, that didn't happen. I mean, maybe I'm blind. I don't know.
Well, I heard that someone told me on Twitter that if Donald Trump like concedes and decides to, let Biden become president, that's proof that he's a dictator. I would like someone to explain that.
I guess we're just changing the term what dictator means. Like, I didn't know. I thought dictator was, no, they're the one ruler and that's it.
Yeah. So eventually everyone will own a Not My President shirt, and you'll just pull it out every 4 years, depending on whether a guy wins or not. And that's a really lucrative business idea, because everybody's going to be unhappy at some point.
Or it can be just us and just wear it every single day.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a product idea that cannot fail. So somebody get out there and make Not My President t-shirts.
Not My President hat, t-shirt, maybe even a mask, because we're living that society now. Oh, we're not my president mask, or
yeah.
What's funny is I'm very happy that I moved away from like my blue-pilled constitutionalism, because like even when people were saying not my president early on, I still had a little bit in me, and I'd be like, well, he's not technically my president. Am I the federal government? What a douchebag cuck thing to say. Like, what are you saying, you dork? But I got blocked by people for saying that. So I mean, I guess it was worth it.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, I was kind of still under that impression too, and then I heard I listened to the audio version of the No Treason by Lysander Spooner, and that pretty much just flipped the switch. I was like, wow, I've heard these things before, and now I'm like, wow, okay, now it makes sense to me. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Hell yeah, Lysander Spooner is a fantastic red pill, because it speaks to a lot of people who maybe are afraid of listening to libertarian ideas because they associate with them with the conservatism, and conservatism with not caring about humanity. And I think that Lysander Spooner is great, at hitting the heart of the humanitarian part of it.
And it's funny about that, because as far as I know, like I haven't really dive deep into much of his writing other than No Treason, so I'm kind of looking at it surface level. But as far as I know, like he was more of like a left-leaning anarchist. So him talking about the Constitution, the way he was talking about it, and having conservatives here and having them at least question, oh yeah, maybe everything I do believe in is kind of stupid, or at least maybe there are some things I haven't thought about. I can now think about them, And so it is kind of cool to have that guy who was someone that a conservative, I don't want to talk to someone on the left. That's terrible. But then this guy back in the 1800s or whatever, talking about the Constitution. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And I highly recommend, if you haven't, read it or listened to it, whatever, definitely listen to No Treason. It's great. Yeah.
So another video that came out the other day, I don't know if it was yesterday, but what's his name? James from the Veritas Project.
James O'Keefe.
James O'Keefe. Yep. I love every now and then he just drops these little bombs on people. And this guy, let me pull up this video. Have you seen this yet?
Mm-hmm.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
The Veritas thing, yeah.
It's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
But it's Project Veritas. How do we know it's true or not?
Yeah, to a lot of Republican voters and Homeland Security will take the children and we'll put them into re-education camps. And these unique.
What are we going to do if we don't like it?
Go to the White House and throw Molotov cocktails.
So this guy, Michael Belly, is the principal counsel for PBS. Talks to this woman and says, we'll send Trump supporters' children to re-education camps if Biden wins, and if Trump wins, we're going to throw Molotov cocktails at the White House. And it's like, oh, And yet these people, I mean, this is not like I would be lying if I told you that I thought that this was not a normal way that leftists talk behind closed doors. You used to be a leftist, Jessica. Would you agree with that?
That's right. It's absolutely the way that leftists talk behind closed doors. I've been behind those closed doors. That's mild by comparison.
Well, PBS saw this and fired him. So I guess there's that.
Womp womp. I don't think you should be held responsible for things that you say while you're drunk. And I think that there should be a distinction because I talk a whole lot of shit when I have been drinking. So it just depends on what his blood alcohol level was at the time.
But that's what's funny is because I think it was you that told me that this is not abnormal for leftist conversation. Which is, it just comes, that brings that, was it Sam Hyde that said it? Let me find that quote. But Michael Malice has said it a couple of times where, he says, these people want you dead, but they'll settle for your submission.
Right.
But Sam Hyde said, do not forget that these people want you broke, dead, and your kids raped and brainwashed. And they think it's funny. And is that wrong?
Nope. No, I'm sorry. I wish I could offer a more enlightened view of people, but I think when you think you're around people who agree with you, you say a lot of shit. And yeah, you get some of that stuff with conservatives. I've had people say some wild shit to me, but it is nothing compared to the people I was around when I was a socialist. And it seemed pretty normal to me at the time, but now looking back, I'm like, oh, yeah, that is a joke, but it's not really a joke about all the things you would do to these people and how funny it would be if Rand Paul's neighbor had actually killed him and all this kind of stuff. And it was actually something that was a huge red pill for me, which is the level at which political violence is absolutely acceptable to people on the political left. So... I wish I could be like, well, it's not everybody. It's not even like half the people. It's a pretty common, acceptable, laughed about kind of thing. And like I said, I'm not saying that people in the conservative side of things don't do that. They absolutely do. I just think there's like a proportionality issue. That's all.
Yeah. Did either of you?
I'm sorry. What, Nico?
I was going to say that video, when I first saw it, was disturbing to me. So it's kind of blackpilling to hear you say that is actually tame, and that's probably a normal thing that they would talk about behind closed doors. It's a little bit scary.
I mean, I like the part where it said throw Molotov cocktails at the White House. That was kind of cool.
I mean, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, that people should be careful about talking about bottom unity with other anarchists. And while I can appreciate and know some very smart communists and appreciate my discussions with them, I think that there is nothing to be found but our own deaths and bottom unity with socialists. Just, know what their feelings about you are. Just be aware and don't fall into that trap.
And I would say that, yeah, I understand feeling somewhat black-pilled by the fact that more people think that way than you would want to believe. Mm-hmm. But if we get the fact that this is out there, the fact that we can talk about it, the fact that we can spread that this is a regular occurrence is actually something that could red pill people on the right, that could lead to more, separation, more intellectual segregation, saying, ideological self-segregation. Let's get away from these people. They don't want us around. Why would I be around them? And it's really good to start having that conversation. So I was talking to a friend of mine who is very black-pilled today. And he was, other guy had asked about whether or not anyone had red-pilled any leftists lately. And I told him, well, it's not the time to red-pill leftists. Mm-mm. It's not time to red pill people on the left. Right now, we red pill the conservatives. Because Did you see the conservatives stepping on the Blue Lives Matter flags?
Yeah.
Did you see them say "fuck the police"? Like, that is a sudden shift, and that is a very white pill. And so if we can take this and go, do you really want your children to be taught by these people? Do you really want to live in the same country and have them control your lives? This is a red pill, which can lead to a white pill. So I understand the black pilledness of hearing it initially and hearing that this is how people talk.
So many pills.
But this is a tool. This is a very positive tool that we can use to get closer to a world that we want to live in. Like imagine, who is the first state that's going to secede if they start hearing this all the time from leftists?
Arizona.
It's probably you nerds over in Texas.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah.
I would like to believe that, but there's a lot of, I don't know, our cities are kind of full of blue.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Georgia, actually.
There you go.
Yeah, I truly think Georgia would be the one, because the sentiment around here is,
I would say it's similar here in Florida.
There's Atlanta, which is like a little blue island.
Yeah.
And then everywhere else around that is like, not people who are blue pilled right now, even if they were before the Trump election or the Trump diselection. They're not now. So yeah, I agree. I think that some headway could be made.
Yeah, and talking about the conservatives and their switch with the police and everything like that. Like, we saw some of that when the whole George Floyd thing happened. They're like, oh man, this is crazy. I can't believe they're treating him like this. And then of course the protests and all the riots and all the property damage was just blowing up, and they just went a whole 180. Like, okay, I was like perverting with that idea, but now I'm like, okay, I love the cops again, And so now to see it again, where it did take Donald Trump losing and all this other stuff to happen, whether you believe the election was stolen or not, them having that belief that it happened. They're like, oh, well, the cops aren't there to protect me, or they're going to be protecting these people, even though I'm the one that's been saying back to blue and I love you all day, all night long. And now you're going to point a gun at my face. Like, what happened? Like, I thought we were on the same side.
Yeah. That's a sad day for you when you realize they don't give a shit about you. They're hired.
Oh, this is something that I saw earlier today, which I don't have the pictures right now, but I saw on Twitter, someone had tweeted the cops' explanation of what happened with Duncan Lemp.
Oh yeah,
and photos of him dead.
Yeah.
And the tweet that I saw, the description was that they went through the window or something and broke through the window. But in the pictures, the windows were completely normal and closed. And so I have to look into that. I just remembered it. But it looks like, even though they're probably never going to release that body cam footage, what they did have to release showed inconsistencies in the story. And so, I mean, it's a very little positive, but it's something.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they knocked on the door and Duncan was like, oh, hey, my buddies are here. And then they all walked in, and then, something happened, and there you go. Maybe, oh shit, Duncan. All right, let's go play some video games or something. And then, they started playing Madden, and one of them lost, and then here we go.
I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You cracked it.
It's always Madden.
It's always the Madden. Yep.
I think you're a detective now.
I know.
So let me ask.
Unfortunately, they don't face enough consequences for
That's true.
that's one area that I'm kind of black-pilled on, is I think that police will continue to do these kinds of things and not face any consequences, because things have to get a lot worse before people actually do anything about it, besides these little bullshit displays of, the Capitol riot, call it what you will, an insurrection. It was just kind of like a couple of assholes displaying their stupidity. It wasn't any kind of like real action toward freedom. So yeah. As fun as it was.
Yeah, and doesn't it suck too about like with the Duncan Lemp thing, or just the police in general, whenever stuff like this comes out, the conservatives will almost always have some kind of excuse, like, oh, well, maybe we should have seen what happened. Maybe it was a criminal. I don't know. And it's just like, well, okay, maybe some of the people like the Jacob Blake situation where that cop apparently isn't going to get no charges or they're going to get off scot-free or whatever. It's like, well, I mean, that guy that they're trying to arrest, whatever, he was a bad guy. So, maybe he deserved it. Or just like, okay, well, what if that was you? What if that was like your kid? You always have to try and put yourself in those shoes. I mean, it's hard because unless you're in that situation, then it's kind of hard to understand. But at the same time, you're just like, so like, okay, Duncan Lemp gets shot and killed, and then they've been pestering them for what seems like a really long time to get this body cam footage. If they just release the body cam footage, maybe we'll have some more answers. But they're like, no, we're not going to release it because fuck the people and we're the police. We can do whatever the fuck we want. And that's basically the mentality that they're telling everyone that in that area and just everywhere else that's following the story. That's why James Bovard, who's been following the story and writing about it, he's a hero. He's been like one of the only ones like, okay, this, here's what I've been saying and here's what the lawyer's been saying, the family. He's been keeping up with the story. And I think that's really good because, and as sad and tragic it is, it's also really sad that the fact that the police there's no accountability. And that's why the Black Lives Matter movement, I really wish they did focus on that and not just, well, we're going to talk about race now also. It has to always be about race, and it's like what Scott Horton said, they should have just called it like accountability for killer cops because that's really the whole point. And that's another thing too with the BLM and then some of the I guess you can call them the Boogaloos or Proud Boys or whatever, when they're having some of those protests where they're like walking together because they both agreed that, this is pretty fucked up what's going on. So we're going to march together about, some of the common things that we want to see changed. But, one's BLM, one's Proud Boys. So they got to fight. And that's how the corporate press wants that fight. So.
Speaking of the
I think
kind of sad that like Duncan Lemp's story didn't really get picked up at all. So
and that's another thing too. If and it really sucks to even have to mention this, but it kind of just show what like the corporate press, they're so evil and they're really terrible people because they don't care the fact that this kid was killed. They only care about the fact that well, what did he look like? Who killed him? Yeah. Well, then that's the only reason why we're gonna even talk about it. Or it'll just be like on the ticker, like, oh yeah, we'll just mention it there. See, we mentioned it was on the ticker. It's like we're not actually talking about it. Fox News and CNN, MSNBC, or whoever you watch or listen to, they're not talking about it. And I mean, there's a lot of stories that are like that. And so the ones that they do focus on, you kind of have to be like, well, why are they focusing on this story? Well, there's so many other stories that they could be talking about. Because I guarantee you watch CNN right now, they're probably talking about, oh, Donald Trump got impeached for the second time. Say, well, I'm sure there's a lot more better stories out there than Donald Trump being impeached about 5 days or whatever it is before he leaves office.
Yeah. I think you're bringing up a really interesting point too about the individual who is following the story and keeping tabs with the story. It's almost showing this like decentralization of information where there's individuals who are following individual stories because there's so much going on that it's almost impossible for a person to be informed. You know what I'm saying? Like to know about everything and to keep track of everything and to follow every story in a chronological order. How can any one human keep that in order? And so we have relied on news organizations to put that stuff into neat little packages for us to tell us what is important. But they have abdicated that role. They're no longer doing that. So we're turning around and relying on people like James O'Keefe. And who's the reporter you mentioned who's following this story?
James Bovard.
Yeah. James Bovard. Right. So, he is the keeper of the Duncan Lemp story now. And it's showing this sort of a decentralization of press or decentralization of journalism, which I think is good because it's no longer has to go through gatekeepers. And so if I want to know about Duncan Lemp, I can go to him and say, hey, what do you know? And that's a good thing.
And can I just say that man, James Bovard, is a hero and has been for a long time. Yeah. When I wrote my red pills about Ruby Ridge and Waco, one of my biggest people that I had to cite was James Bovard, because he pays attention to these stories, and it's incredibly important, the work that he does. but one of the things that I wanted to say is even with media attention, or what you said about they pay more attention to the color or to who shot or whatever. I think the shining and disturbing and depressing example of that is Daniel Shaver. Do you remember Daniel Shaver?
Yeah.
Do you remember him,
hallway,
Jessica?
the hotel hallway?
Yeah, the really fucked up game of Simon Says.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who killed him, that piece of shit, Philip Brailsford. I never want anyone to forget that piece of shit's name. I want them to remember that he's a piece of shit. He had I don't know if you remember this, on the gun, he had scratched into the side, I believe it was "Get fucked." And then after that, he got released from the police department. And then a few months later, he applied to come back because he wanted to work enough time to get his pension. And he wanted to get that pension because he claimed he got PTSD from shooting Daniel Shaver.
I hope on some level that's true. I hope he does have nightmares.
Oh, I hope he has night terrors.
Yeah. I hope it's true. I hope that he truly does wake up every morning sweating for fear that he will burn in hell. But, that's just me.
So we are getting closer and closer to the time when Shaine and Nico's computer battery dies and they can't talk anymore. So I was wondering, with my last episode of 2020 was with a big group of people, and I asked them what was their white pill of 2020. What was the thing about 2020 that gave you some modicum of hope for the future? And so I can't really ask that. I mean, I can ask that now, but we're beyond that. We're beyond the point of that particular set of white pills. But let me ask, at the end of this year, or at the beginning of this year, rather, is there anything that you see that looks like a positive move that gives you any sort of hope for the future?
Why are you going to be like, no, there's no hope for the future?
It's over. Move to Mars.
You're fucked.
Watch Total Recall. The Arnold Schwarzenegger one, not the Colin Farrell one.
That movie's awesome.
So I guess in terms of like hope for the future or whatever, I mean, like you were saying earlier about the talk of secession, I mean, even if secession doesn't 100% work, I think the fact that people are like, I don't know if I can live in a society where this person over here doesn't agree with me and doesn't have the same values as I do. I mean, how can you? It's like one person is going to govern for, I don't know how many people are in America, like 400 million people. Like, how is one person going to be like, I will fight for you, I will be your president, even if you didn't vote for me? Well, especially if I didn't vote for you, I don't give a fuck what you have to say because I didn't vote for you. What was the point? I mean, if you don't vote, that's also another prerogative. It's like, well, obviously this whole system is a sham and everything like that. But for those who still believe in that whole system, there's people who are like, well, you're not my president because I didn't vote for you. So maybe if, what, okay, so what if, for example, like the people who voted for Donald Trump, okay, well, Donald Trump could be your president. Like he can literally be the president of the people who, the states that he won. He can be the president for Texas. He can be the president for, I don't know how many other states he won. And then same with Joe Biden. The states that voted for Joe Biden, then Joe Biden can govern those states, Kind of sounds familiar to some other time period where, there's like two different presidents. But anyway, so you can kind of do something like that. I don't know. But just in terms of like, I was just like a hypothetical, but that would just be kind of something to think about because 2021, well, back up, like for 2020, there's people that were like, I'm so done for this year to be over. I can't wait for 2020 to be, done or whatever. And then of course, January 6th, 2021 happens and everyone's like, man, 2022 is looking pretty nice right now, And I don't know. I think in terms of just like, I guess a national level, that whole talk of secession really is a really important one. And also with the conservatives being maybe not necessarily 100% red pill, but they are getting a little bit of that taste of like, maybe the cops aren't 100% on my side. You know, they're just there to follow orders, or, you know, they're there to, I don't know what, like, you know, to execute the law or something like that. Like, even if the law is there, it doesn't mean that it's moral, you know? So there is that. But then in terms of just like local or just yourself, I mean, if you can just work on yourself as much as you can possibly can in terms of, you know, because you're not able to affect a whole lot of things out there in the outside world, but in terms of you, it's like the Jordan Peterson thing. If you can clean your room, then everything else is, you know, possible, you know. And I definitely have to work on that. You know, I'm trying to basically, maybe this whole thing is basically me talking to myself. I got to clean my room. I got to do this and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's mainly a thing for me, but I think for other people it could help. What about you?
I was thinking similar, like on similar terms, but I was also thinking like, as far as people being, I guess, red pilled from last year. One thing that we saw from 2020 was a lot of the lockdown stuff happened on the local levels. So I feel like a lot of people are going to pay more attention to local politics, which is good because those are the things that you can actually affect. And then also regarding the lockdowns and everything, I think more people will be striving for self-sufficiency, like being prepared and just, you know, learning how to grow food, how to have a plan B, getting out of the cities. So I think that's a good thing.
And I think one of the things that I came to the conclusion of when I had this conversation with them was, you know, white pills don't have to be corporate. They don't have to be for everyone. It can be a very personal thing for you. Like for me, what I mentioned was the fact that we were able to get a vehicle that'll fit all of my children last year. That was a white pill for me. The fact that I got to add another beautiful little girl into the world, white pill for me. There's so many things. And I think one of the things that I keep saying, and I'm going to keep saying it until more people understand it, is the extreme focus on politics is very antithetical to a healthy mind. Because I think that in a very, I steal it from Dune, and I think Ace said it at one point, but politics is the soul killer. Look at how many people who've lost friends, family members, can't talk to their dad anymore because they have this hyper focus on politics as if it matters. And I think that that's one of the conversations that we need to have. And white pills, like I said, white pills don't have to be corporate. They don't have to be for everyone. So I mean, you have a very clear white pill insofar as you're cooking a baby now.
Yep. That's definitely going to be our 100% like attention for this year. So, cause you know, baby will be here in August. So
yeah. And just kind of going off of that, like another thing too, that I kind of changed in terms of just my personal view was the fact that, I was like on the fence when it came to abortion, but now with all this, seeing our baby in the ultrasound and all that stuff, it's just like, wow, this is mind blowing. Like, I can't believe anyone would see that and just be like, yeah, screw it. I don't want to deal with that. You're just like, I don't know how anyone can just do that basically. So I really went from, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence. Now I'm like, no, I'm 100%. I don't like abortion and I'm probably going to be there forever. So
yeah, I've always been there, and we actually had our last baby in our house, and so that was a very different situation. But I have watched, with the exception of this one, I didn't watch it as much because she was in a very different position at home. But I watched all of these children be born, and I just cry like a baby. Like I haven't told many of the political people this, but like since I was a little boy, I knew I wanted to be a father. Like that was something that I wanted to do. Of course, have a wife too, because women are great looking. I don't know if you knew this, Shaine, but women, oh my gosh. And you can meet them on Twitter too. Like that's a thing you can do.
I know, right? I had no idea.
But yeah, I mean, I'll just ask Jessica too. Do you have anything this year that makes you hopeful?
a lot of positives in my personal life, so I don't, I know that's not the case for everyone because a lot of people have had like their businesses shut down and lost their jobs and things like that. And so I hate to like talk about my own personal life, be like, I'm doing great. But I do hear that from a lot of people. Like 2020 was a sucky year and everything about it that you heard about it from every direction was that it was terrible. But a lot of people had really good things happen to them. And a really big white pill for me was on the 4th of July last year when all of my neighbors on this street that I live on who had never spoken to each other than maybe waving as you pass by in your car, we all came out of our houses and it was like a huge block party atmosphere. People were so ready to be out of their homes and ready to like see other people and just sort of like it was at that in the summer, it was still kind of like an act of defiance to like go out. You weren't supposed to be doing that. And we all came out and met our neighbors and communicated face to face. And I was like thinking, and we were shooting off these fireworks. And I had this really strong sense of, you know what, we're going to win because this country is full of ungovernable people. Mm-hmm. And I don't like all of them. And some of my neighbors are fucking weird. I'll be honest with you. Like this one yells at her husband in public all the time. That's not right. But anyway, aside from that, they're ungovernable people. And those are my people. And I appreciate that about us, about sort of like, I know that's not a popular phrase to use among anarchos and liberty Twitters, the we's and the us, but we Americans are a savage and ungovernable lot. And that is a big white pill for me. I don't do what I'm told.
It's my favorite thing about America. Yes. Is the spirit of defiance. That's what I love. And sometimes it can get you in trouble.
We're moonshiners. And hookers and,
Look at who created our culture.
The worst sort of people. And yeah.
And let's be real. I think the strongest example of American culture is the southern states. Does any other part of the country have a culture like the South?
How dare you? Are you crazy? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean like
Midwesterners are pretty awesome. I don't know if you guys know about the Midwesterners.
Yeah.
But the Scots and the Irish came down here. And they started making whiskey. And I've made the discovery. I forget who I was talking to. But if you look at the places that have whiskey, good whiskey in the United States, they're typically the places with the best culture and the best people who are looking towards freedom. I don't know why this is. But because like Tennessee whiskey,
I have a theory
Kentucky
about that.
Alabama whiskey, like that's the best whiskey I have in my closet. I'm just saying. What's your theory, though? I want to hear that.
So this is a little history nerd-ish, but at the founding of this country, there were like the English who were like the very proper Protestant ethic type of people, right? And then you sort of had like the Scotch, Irish, Catholic, the rabble-rouser, I don't do what the English tell me to do. And those people populated in the Appalachian Mountains. And it's where NASCAR comes from. It's where moonshining comes from. And all that sort of like ungovernableness is sort of this diaspora between sort of the proper Puritan English type of America and the Irish, Scotch, moonshining type of America. And they sort of... They conflict with each other a lot, these two things, but the authoritarian type, the Puritan type, has never quite been able to get a stranglehold on those of us who don't want to follow the rules, and which is kind of what I was saying is my white pill, is that I've always known us to be rule breakers, and so they can erect as many walls as they want to. We'll break them down. That's what happens when you build a wall, is you are challenging people to come break it down. So the more fences I see them put up, the more excited I get. I'm like, ooh, you guys are scared. they're not doing that because their position is strong. They're doing it because they're weak. They don't censor people because like no one's listening to them, So those are great white pills for me.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because that was one of the things. I was talking to a few people the other day, and they were talking about how blackpilling and terrible it is, how the corporate press and leftist Twitter and everyone is talking about the people who went to the Capitol, and they're talking about people who are just tertiary, somewhat connected in any little way. They're like, that's so horrible. And I'm like, no, look at that. Look at how they're talking. These are not the actions of people who are winning.
No.
You don't have to do this if you're winning. But I appreciate you guys.
There are libertarians who are like that. They go, oh my God, the precious capital. Oh.
Yep.
All right. And speaking with some of the things that you were talking about, it's like, so we must, like, not only do we have to be anti, like ungovernable or whatever, we must be anti-governable. So
how do you mean? Wait, can you? I'm sorry. I know you guys have to go, but I really want you to expound on that idea a little bit, if you please.
No, it was just a little joke about, it's like, well, we must, not only do we have to be. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I was like, what on earth does he mean by that? That seems like it happened 100 years ago, and I had forgotten about it completely. And I didn't
Wait,
get
who
what
was
you
it that
meant.
said it again?
I don't remember. One of those.
Who was
the
it that said
Libertarian
that?
Party?
Oh, like the anti-racist tweet?
Yeah, who said that?
Joe Jorgensen. It was Jorgensen.
Or at the very least, you could say Joe Jorgensen's Twitter account.
Yeah, because we have inside sources that it was a staffer.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I never doubted that
It's
for a
all
second.
Staffers.
I never doubted that for a
run
second.
this whole country, by the way. The whole narrative culture is created by a bunch of staffers with Twitter accounts. It's not even the real people. It's like, oh, such and such just tweeted all this shit out and we're all upset about it. We're running wild with it, or we really like it. No, it's a bunch of paid interns and they're jingling the keys to the kingdom. And I think that maybe, these staffers have to be reckoned with. They need to be sent back out to get coffee and get off these damn Twitter accounts because they're ruining the culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, definitely blue pilled. There's definitely quite a few of them that are just blue pilled as fuck.
The staffers?
No, just like, the libertarians who, because we're also talking about like leftist Twitter and corporate press, whatever. It's like, okay, well, you can be libertarian. You'd be like, I guess, quote unquote, left libertarian or whatever. But the people that you're, I guess, trying to cater to, they'll put you on the wall too.
Yep.
So,
Oh yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, there's that great example, where it's like, oh, hey, why don't you join the Libertarian Party, Talib Kweli? And then it backfired. And it was,
that was so funny. By the way, here's the official stance of Make Liberty Great Again. And I know Jessica's on board. There is a certain person that was once a part of the Libertarian Party that we no longer talk about by name and do not engage with. And that who I'm talking about because Talib Kweli called him a racist.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So if Twitter can memory hole Donald Trump, sure as shit we should be able to memory hole that guy.
I'm with you on this. I'm with you.
I'll
say some stuff once the cameras turn off. I'll tell you that.
Oh, it's gonna be juicy once the cameras are off. Ooh.
And we're not going to tell them because it is a lot of fun to have people go, what are they going to talk about? What are they going to say? Malice is right.
Yeah. I was just going to mention that. Yeah.
But before we sign off the broadcast, I want you to tell people, I mean, I've been scrolling it on the bottom of the screen. You can find Shaine on Twitter at Shaine Scalph. SHAINEC. I mean, I screwed it up. SHAINESCALPH. Yeah. And you can also find your girl Nico on Twitter at Petite Nikoko.
Yep.
I'm not going to spell that one though because I feel like that one's easier for some reason.
My name was already hard enough. Tired.
You can't say Shaine and people know how to spell it that way.
Yeah,
You
nobody
know.
knows how to spell your name ever.
I know.
They also have their own show called What's HAPAning. They are the HAPA supremacists, and you're half Korean. And are you? What's your breakdown?
So my mom is Filipino Chinese, and my dad is a mixture of white countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
White countries.
Yeah. There's too many.
Yeah, I basically named myself the HAPA King. I just named myself that because, hey, if Dave Smith can call himself the Libertarian Tupac, I'm going to call myself the notorious HAPAtarian B.I.G. So, boom shakalaka.
Yeah. I like it. I approve.
There you go.
So, and you can listen. You should listen to What's HAPAning. HAPAning.
Yeah.
Is this
both of you have been on it.
Well, we're very cool.
Yeah. Well, it's HAPA. Yeah, it's What's HAPAning. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But I'm white. I'm not half anything.
I like how you admitted it. You're like, I'm white.
I'm very white. If you've ever seen my face, you know that there's a fair amount of Irish and Viking blood in me. Like, my wife thought she had a chance at having kids that looked like her, and it took 5 to get there because my Viking genes were like, all of these kids are going to be blonde, all of them are going to be blue-eyed. I won, but this new one that popped out, Daisy, she looks just like her mama. So
All look
time
like
to go
the
to the doctor.
dad when they first come out. By the way,
that's what I hear, but it hasn't stopped yet. Is all I'm saying.
Okay.
But this one looks like her. I'm just saying. So now that you know where to find them, I do want to ask you, since we haven't had face-to-face conversations that much, I will ask my favorite Michael Malice style question, which is, what is your favorite thing about my Twitter account?
The fact that I follow your Twitter account and that you follow me, that's pretty cool to me. So
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Mutuals. You know, it's funny. I didn't know what mutuals meant for the longest time because I was like, I wasn't thinking in terms of you both have to follow each other. I was thinking in terms of Facebook. I'm like, aren't we? Wait, that's mutual friends. I'm retarded, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, I've retweeted their tweet. We're practically friends now. You know.
Yeah.
So. Or like on
We're
Facebook,
besties.
like we're Facebook friends. Like I don't have to do anything else. It's official. Like what else do I gotta do?
Who's
You've
the
at
most
least
famous
endorsed
person?
him.
Yeah.
Who's the most famous or worthwhile person that has retweeted or followed you?
Well, I'd probably just say Dave Smith because he's the reason that we are who we are politically, at least nowadays.
Yeah.
So all credit goes. I would say, yeah, most credit goes to Dave Smith, and then a little inkling of Michael Mouse because some of the episodes that they did back in the day was a pretty big red pill for me. So
wait, the question was the biggest account that follows or retweets?
The best account that has followed or retweeted you. What you're most proud of.
So how you feel plays a role into that.
Yeah.
What you feel is the best account.
I feel like I couldn't pick, but maybe if I had to say, well, like as far as like famous, I would say Tim Pool, who follows me. But as far as like the coolest Twitter account, Neocon Remover, but he got banned.
yeah.
Wah, wah. F in the chat, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
And I would also be remiss to if I were to not mention my wife, Petite Nicoco. So I have to.
Of course, you're my best.
Yeah, I got
the best account I follow.
Right. Yeah.
All right. And so I think with that, I guess I should tell you that if you want to see the most beautiful watercolor paintings you've ever seen, you need to go to Instagram and type in Sovereign Cookies Art. And also to, I think Jessica and I have started creating a, I don't know what the dynamic is, but it's like we're learning together about how we're going to troll people on Twitter. So it's a very fluid exchange now. You can follow her at Libertarian Kitchen Witch, LIBTKITWITCH. And if you want to find me, you don't. But if you do, you can type in "This is MLGA" anywhere. If you want to join my locals, you don't. You can go to makelibertygreatagain.locals.com. And we are at the end of the show. So thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I'm happy that we've been able to, become mutuals in the podcast world as well. The only person in this place who hasn't had me on their podcast is Jessica.
Yeah,
But
I don't have anybody on my podcast. I don't even have me on my podcast. I hate that
I've
podcast.
never been on your podcast either.
Yeah,
So-
I know.
So one last thing.
Let's not talk about
What-
my podcast.
It's called The Jessica Green Show. You can find it on YouTube.
Oh, why?
Hey, I think it's a good podcast.
Thank you.
So
No,
with that, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I might start doing more like gardening stuff and less political stuff. Like,
Sounds good to me.
yeah, because I like
Cottage
big
core.
renovation. Yeah, cottage core, all the way. So yeah, I'll let you guys know how that develops. But go on.
Awesome. And as always, to all 4 of you who listen to this stupid show, try your best to stay sane.